Hello all and welcome to another video in my journey to 1 million Gamerscore series, and this is March part 2 because March is done. Yes, what have we got for you? Well, we've got an easy completion, we've got a completion that has now finally happened, and then we've been playing some Dead Space. We've started the Dead Space trilogy, and I can tell you what I got in basically just playing through Dead Space campaign once. Okay, so also apart from that, I did intend to have more games in this, but I did have to take in light of the situation in the world today and how it has affected me. Now, I have been laid off work temporarily, but it's only been laid off, and I will be getting some of my wages paid by the government because of it. However, I had to bear in mind that this has affected my budget in buying games, and I've been making a list of indie games rather than just buying them and playing them. And I indeed have a list. I will be able to play a couple of them in the beginning of next month, but this also gives me a fantastic opportunity now to hit my backlog and really go through a few of those and basically show you what you can get in some of the games that you can pick up for not a lot. I have a plan on playing FIFA's 7, 9 and 10. Sadly, I don't have 8, so I was going to wait till I have 8 and then do them all in a 2-week period. But we've got 7, 9 and 10, so we can see what we can get out of them. And they aren't expensive games. And then we will start another game, another playthrough. Shall I go for Dead Space 2 or shall I start a new series and start with Left 4 Dead? I don't quite know yet, but thank you all to those who have been joining my streams. They have started. They are every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30. This was to work around work originally, which is why they are so late. However, there are going to be lots of extra random streams popping up, so do make sure you give us an ad and also hit the bell if you want to catch some of those extra streams. But you can definitely catch me every Tuesday and Thursday at 10:30. I will keep that going for the foreseeable future. Anyway, let's go to games and show you indeed what I've been playing and what little Gamerscore I've got towards the end of March. But rest assured, things will be back on track for the beginning of April. So the beginning of March actually started with this completion, but we did also play Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I did stream that for a little bit and got a little 30G out of it. Now, this is a game from the Sega series in which you are actually blessed with making game saves whenever you want. So as soon as you do something, you can make a save. So what I did is basically I decided that I wanted to do the Emerald Zone under 35 seconds achievement. I did that live on stream. People were able to see that one pop. And then basically what I did was I started the game and I made a save just before the level started, so I could go out and not have to restart the game all over again. And with a little bit of practice, I was able to get in under 35 seconds. The trick here is to keep the high ground. There is a speed boost that is quite high up. You will need that. That is quite important. You'll have to do a little bit of practice to make a couple of jumps at the right time. But once you've got that down, that 35 seconds is not too difficult. In the space of going for that achievement, you'll also unlock Zone 1. And also, once you've done it 35 seconds, reload your save, start the level again, get 50 rings, go to a checkpoint, which will open up some circling stars above it. You can jump in that and enter a special zone in which you can get the Chaos Emeralds out of if you achieve it. Now again, you can use your save here to your advantage. Before you go through the little porto, save your game and then you can have a go at it. If you're not happy with your first section because each special event is in 3 sections, if you're happy with your first section, then save it. So if you screw up the second section, you can then just reload your save. Again, got to use that saving feature to your advantage. This is a game that I can do that with, and I will do that with, but it's going to take a lot of time and patience, so you may see this one popping up again real soon. I am going for all the Chaos Emeralds, so I need to finish, I think it's 6 of these special areas. I am currently working towards that, but they're getting very hard and it involves a lot of restarting. Anyway, there's nothing to talk about here with Gears of War 3. I've got a lot of time off work, as I'm saying at the moment, and I wanted to play some Gears of War 3 online with friends. That's what I did. Nothing new added there. However, there's still some achievements that I can get out of that, but they are certainly lengthy and not easy. Right, first completion. This can be easy, can be very easy and very quick, but obviously that involves you using a guide. If you use a guide, and I believe I did for a period, and that was by the good people of Achievement Land. Their guide is under half an hour long. It tells you what all the items are, and you can literally whiz and had people watching me. And one person did actually help me find something that was struggling. I appreciate it's difficult to type before I see it, but he did help me on a level, so thank you very much to Sir if that was you and you are watching. But yes, it's a hidden object game, so I streamed for 2.5 hours without cheating and got to level 14. Basically, you have to find every item in every level to get all the achievements. I think there are 26 levels total, and obviously they get progressively harder as you go through. So yes, if you use the guide, you can do it in under half an hour because they're telling you where everything is. But if you don't use a guide and do it legitimately, 2.5 hours I got to level 14 and they get harder. So as you can imagine, you can gauge a little bit by that time how long it's going to take if you don't cheat. But half an hour with a guide, use the achievement lab one, it's bang on, no problem at all. Again, Gears 4, just wanted to play some Gears while I'm off work. I am trying to do 50 waves Horde solo on casual, and the closest I've come so far is the final boss on wave 50, and that was only once. I had a couple of goes at it, got to wave 21 once, wave 7, which was a very poor attempt, and wave 38 once solo on casual. So it's an ambition of mine to do it. I will try it again. Please join me on stream. I may choose the day you're available to watch. Okay, so my first ever playthrough of Dead Space. Dead Space is a trilogy I've had in my library for ages, which I've been meaning so much to play, and obviously being gifted the time to do it, unfortunate circumstances, but gifted the time, I decided to play through Dead Space. Now, Dead Space offers you an achievement for finishing the campaign, but as you'll see at the top here, on any difficulty setting. So you get easy, normal and hard to start with. Now, there is an achievement for finishing the game on hardest. When you complete the game, you unlock impossible mode. Now, I reckon that's probably one of the hidden achievements, but we'll go through them all. And this is basically, all of this just happened again just through natural gameplay, with a couple of exceptions. We'll get to those in a minute. So the very first achievement I unlocked, dismember 20 limbs. As you're shooting enemies, you aim for legs so that they can't run at you to help you, but even if you shoot an arm off, it helps to kill them quicker. So dismembering 20 limbs is going to be the achievement that most people get first, I would imagine. If they don't, it's going to be for completing chapter 1 also, I would imagine. There's that achievement I said about, on the highest difficulty setting, but there's no achievement for finishing it on normal as well as easy. So there's no sort of, if you're going for achievements, nothing to sort of really want you to play normal over easy, unless you can go for the hardest, and I don't know if they can, retroactively unlock earlier achievements. I don't know. So anyway, I decided to play it on easy because I just wanted to play through it once and get what I can out of it and move on, because my backlog is huge. So yes, I completed chapter 1. Obviously next, the plasma cutter is a weapon you start with, so you're going to kill 30 enemies quite quick, and that is probably these first 3 are probably going to be in that order, or first 4, because then I finished chapter 2, I finished chapter 3. Kill a brute, again, it just happened, it popped up at some point. I killed a brute, I got 15G on that date. Collect 8 schematics. They're the things that then allow you to make things be made for you and appear in the shop as if by magic when you go and visit it. It downloads the schematic and the item is available. So I managed to collect 8 again without really trying too much. When I was playing the game, I was exploring every room just because that is what you do. Complete chapter 4. Collect 75 logs. These pop up all the time, so as you can see, I hadn't even finished chapter 5 and I'd collected 75. Then I completed chapter 5. Once you unlock the ability to use kinesis, shoot 50 objects, you can actually grind this one out or just spam this one out, because you don't have to use kinesis just when you need it. So you can just pick up random items around, by holding left trigger, then holding B to use the kinesis, and then you press right trigger to throw the item. Do that 50 times, just every time you enter a room, throw every object in it, and eventually it will unlock. Dismembering 500 limbs. Like I say, you dismember a lot of limbs. That came before, wow, chapter 6. We unlocked a lot in chapter 6. So kill 30 enemies with a pulse rifle. That's a schematic that you'll pick up and then be able to buy the pulse rifle. Just make sure you do. Catch a brute or lithium pod using kinesis. This was a boss, and he was throwing these large sort of yellow pods at me, and I thought, well, can't I just catch them and throw them back at him? Turns out you can. Turns out it was an achievement. Fantastic. And then of course, after I'd done that, after a couple of attempts, he was a little bit tricky with that one, I killed the lithium Then I finished chapter 6 in doing so. 0G jump over 100 times. You'll soon learn what that is. There are several 0G sections among the games, so this will probably come naturally, but obviously once you're in a 0G room, if you're worried about not getting to it 100 times, you can spam the 0G move. It will teach you how to do that. This was one that I wasn't really aware of from the start, and I wish I had been, because I started going for it and dying a few times because I got a little bit too ballsy with it. But melee and enemy is just hitting the right trigger without holding the left. That'll make you throw your arm around, and the left bumper, I believe, will make you stamp. So just make sure you're aware of this one when you go into the game. Another another weapon that you will eventually be able to buy through a schematic is the line gun, which I obviously was able to do and made sure I remembered to kill 30 enemies with that. It's quite a powerful weapon, so quite a good one to have. Completed chapter 7, done that. Killed the slug boss, done that. Killed the slug boss with more than 50% shield strength remaining. I remember him not being too difficult. He has the arms that flail around, kind of have yellow pods in the middle of them, so just keep an eye on which one is about to sort of wiggle about and swing for you. Go for that one, it will stop it hitting him. I believe that boss wasn't too hard, and I was able to do it with him having 80% of his shield strength left, so not too tough that one, although it's got quite an unlock rate, so maybe I did quite well there. Complete chapter 8, achieve a perfect score in the shooting gallery. When you come across that in chapter 9, this is horrible. Because there are 5 levels, and each time you need to take out the red targets but not hit the blue targets. The levels get progressively difficult. Basically, you'll know when you've done it because a little gift will pop up in front of you. And I remember getting to level 5, and I spent absolutely bloody ages trying to do that level, about an hour or so, because they got really quick. So a bit of practice, and eventually you'll get there for your 5G, but again, it's not a high unlock rate, but it's not enough to be rare. So that was tricky when it turned up. But yes, we got there eventually. You have to do 5 levels of it, so just be aware of that. But obviously, you'll know when you've done level 5, achievement will pop if you keep going for it. Kill 30 enemies with a flamethrower. This one is rare, and yet it was one of the schematics I had no trouble finding. Again, I just looked in every room. I found the flamethrower. I had it enabled. Just remember that you need to kill 30 enemies with the flamethrower, which is what I did. Store 25 items in the safe. When you go into the shop, you can store items that are in your inventory. Now, I in the early stages when I was picking up a lot of pulses thing for my pulse rifle that I wasn't using, I put the odd 1 or 2 in there. Then every time I went back, I'd keep a count of how many I added in there. Just add the odd 1 or 2 every time you go there that you can afford to spare, and then eventually you'll get to a stage where there will be about 10 to 15 in there, and then you can look at what you're actually carrying, just dump everything in there and then take it back out again, so that you put 25 in there, and then that will unlock. That will happen in time if you play through the whole game. I wasn't really trying to a degree. I wasn't keeping a tally of how much I was spending. It just happened. I would advise that you spend nodes in there, because then you can use the nodes to upgrade your suit and weapons when you go to a bench. So if you do that, I'm pretty sure you'll get past 300,000 credits quite easily. I completed chapter 9. When you come across the basketball thing, and you kinesis the things that come out of the circles and throw it back in again, keep an eye on which target is lit. Have a little bit of practice on how to aim the balls, and once you get the hang of that, it's not actually that difficult, but it's only just not rare as well, and it's only worth 5G. So if you're struggling with it too much, perhaps move on if you're not going for the completion. But at the same time, with a bit of practice, this one was actually I found easier than the shooting gallery. Use stasis on 50 enemies. Just remember to use stasis on 50 enemies. I suddenly realised that I wasn't using it too much. So every time you charge up or put a new stasis in because your stasis is empty, just remember, hold left trigger, press X to use your stasis without firing. That will slow your enemies down. Just remember to do it 50 times. Complete chapter 10. Just remember, 1,000 limbs will happen before the game's over if you play it like I did. I was going to say I was playing on easy, and it just came naturally. So if it doesn't pop, I can imagine if you start a second game up because it hasn't popped, then you ain't going to be too far into it before it unlocks, because that will happen a lot, dismembering limbs without even really trying. Complete chapter 11, completing 150 logs. That's what I said about 75, that all the time, wasn't really trying, found loads of them. There's text ones on the floor, so like I say, just make sure you explore every room. Kill the hive mind. I believe that is the very final boss, which, believe it or not, wasn't actually too difficult. So yes, that wasn't too bad at all. Now I then complete chapter 12 and then complete the game on any difficulty setting. As I say, I played through it on easy, had an absolute blast doing it. It was so much fun. I am very much looking forward to playing the second one. Then above Dead Space 2 is Glass Masquerade 2. Now this is the stained glass puzzle that I brought up in the last 2 episodes. Now I little tips that I'm going to repeat here. If you want to get all the achievements in one playthrough, you need to put it on the highest difficulty set, because there is achievements for doing every puzzle and every arm on the highest difficulty. So self-explanatory, you need to play it through on the highest difficulty. To do that, when you start up your very first puzzle, press Y. There's a symbol in the bottom right hand corner. It will look like a spade from a pack of cards upside down in the colour red. Make sure that's always on. If you are struggling with a specific puzzle, change it to easy, knock out the puzzle rather quickly, and then you can see the picture of the puzzle before you re-enter it to do it on hard. You can then take a photo of the puzzle so you get an idea of where the colour piece should be if you do need to do that. I started doing that and then I realised, you know what, I'm actually alright with just going in for it straight away. When you do start a puzzle on hard, the real difference is that the pieces will need to be spun round by yourself, because they're not always going to be the right way round. On easy, I believe they're already the right way round for you, every piece. So you'll need to spin using the left triggers to go left and right, obviously, and put them all in place. Now, there is little gold circles which will help you line up half a dozen to 8 pieces off the bat. When you pick them up, do not spin them round. Those ones will be the right way round for you. You can then put them in place and you can use them to work with. Now what happens is, eventually, spoiler slightly, when you get to the very last puzzle in the centre, which I found out because I streamed the last puzzle, had a few people watching. It was a lot of fun actually to talk to people, so please do join the streams, talk to me about achievements and games or whatever you want to. I will answer any question. But anyway, that last puzzle, those little gold circles which line up with pieces already the right way round with little gold circles on, was gone. It wasn't there to help you. You literally had to do it 100% from scratch on the highest difficulty. This is where you need to hunt down the edge pieces, because obviously if you spin them around and line up the edge with the edge, it will be in the right place somewhere. So you have to kind of line it up, make sure it's absolutely following the curve of the circle, and then drop it and hope it's in the right place. If not, pick it straight back up again, spin it a bit more, find the next part of the circle it lines up with, drop it in, and eventually you'll find some edge pieces and line them all up. It's also the puzzle with the most pieces. It has 88. One of the other puzzles did have 80 pieces in it, but this has 88 in it, so it will take you a while. It took me around about an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes, I think the stream was. Although I was talking to people at the same time, you're not going to be far off. But again, it's just a matter of patience, eventually finding a piece after you've not found one for a while, and then it kind of rolls. But you will get there. Obviously, the less pieces you have, the easier it gets. When I had the last 8 left, it was great, and they just all flew in. But playing every puzzle on the highest difficulty, along the way, some puzzles were half hour, 40 minutes. Some of the harder ones were around about an hour. I believe there's 31 total, and not everyone's going to take an hour. So I reckon my overall play time of this was, I can only say somewhere between, and have a broad margin, but it'll give you an idea, and that was somewhere between 20 and 25 hours, I reckon, because of the few easier ones. But then again, the last one took over an hour, so maybe 25 is going to be about right, actually. So we'll call it around about a 25-hour completion, Glass Masquerade 2. But very soothing, very calm, just to sit back with and just relax with. There is a Glass Masquerade 1, by the way, as well. That is actually, you can just play through every puzzle on easy, on any difficulty, no problem. But this one, you have to do them all on the highest difficulty. And that is the very little I've got at the end of March. But, as I say, we have time, and we're going to make an effort to get much more Gamerscore in April, because I'm well behind where I want it to be. I want to bring up that 500,000 as soon as possible, and as you'll see top left there, I am on 467990. So I'm still a little bit away from the 500,000, but I want to get there now as quick as possible, and this is a perfect opportunity with being stuck indoors under the government guidelines, and I'm going to take advantage of it with gaming. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me for April Part 1, in which I'll have much more to talk about, and hopefully a few completions and some Xbox 360 love backlog to tell you about too. So ladies and gentlemen, this now just finally leaves me to say, please drop any comments, any questions in the comment section below. That is where I will read them and answer them. And then finally, thank you very much for watching again, if I've already said that. But as always, take care, and especially stay safe.